Attention interwebs. This is your captain speaking. Welcome to the Biased Critic podcast. I am your captain. My name is Kat. We will be taking this journey together for the next 45 minutes. I took that bit for far too long. What's up? This is the Biased Critic podcast. I'm Kat. I already said all that. Happy Easter if you celebrate. I am recording this on Sunday again. This time just because I'm lazy. And also because I am this week I've been really on edge about what Taylor is about to do because we've got just a couple more days until Fearless Taylor's version drops. Excuse me, sorry, off to a great start. I've been really see what she's gonna drop, if anything, before the album comes out. But I'm not gonna talk about the hidden message video that she put on Twitter a couple days ago. I'm going to talk about that when I do the next week when I talk about Fearless re-recorded. Because I'm kind of mad at her about it right now. So I'm not going to talk about it today. Today I'm going to do something else. But yeah, happy Easter. Like I said, I'm recording this on Sunday, Easter Sunday. I just got back home from a Easter dinner with my fam. It was good times. I am very full, even though I came home and had an orange. Still had a lot of food, but still had to shove a little bit more in there just to be that perfectly uncomfortable feeling. Is it just me, or does anyone just not feel full until they're just like, I am uncomfortable, I cannot move? That's probably just me. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, right before I started recording, I was reading this Reddit thread about former prison inmates and how they were what they were most shocked about when they got out. And of course, smartphones were a popular answer, but something that surprised me was that people were surprised about, say, Amazon or DoorDash and those services. And at first I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That if you've been in for say 20, 30 years or something. But then I was thinking, okay, wait, how long has, say, pizza delivery been a thing? I think if you're in if you're in prison for 30 something years or something, then yeah, you probably would be like, oh wow, I can just order McDonald's and some kid will pick it up and deliver it to my house right from my phone. That's crazy. But I feel like if you were, say, you were around when when pizza places started delivering pizza when you called and ordered, and then you say, obviously you can't, this isn't real, but let's say then you time traveled into 2021. I don't think it would be that surprising that there was a way to order food and have it delivered, or Amazon or ordering some online shopping. I mean, how long is, what is it, QVC, that's been around, or infomercials, those have been around for a long time, right? I don't think it would be that surprising. But I guess if you I guess if you just aren't integrated with normal society like that, you probably aren't thinking about that. But then I was reading this Reddit thread, and then I was thinking about how someone would feel if they got out of prison today and with COVID. Like, I know I've heard prisons aren't handling COVID well at all, but I wonder what you would think. Like, are they wearing masks in prison? I don't know. It's very interesting. I wonder about that. I wonder if, like, what prisons are doing for COVID precautions, and how it would feel if you got out of prison today and saw everybody going around wearing a face mask. Like, that would be shocking to me. I'm sure it would be shocking, but I don't know what prisons are doing to take COVID precautions, but I hear it's not very good. But anyways, that's something that's always just fascinated me for whatever reason, just like people's experiences after prison. I don't know why, but it's always fascinated me. But anyways, I don't really have much more to talk about, so might as well just get into today's topic. I thought, since it's kind of a slow news week, I would do my favorite albums. And so I made up a list of what comes to mind. Like, I did not go through like my Spotify playlists, did not go through anything and was like, ooh, yeah, I like this album, or this is my favorite album from this band. These are just straight up albums. If someone were to ask me, what are your favorite albums, or what's your favorite album, I think this is the list. Or at least, you know, if someone on the spot were to ask me what's your favorite album, I would at least list a couple of these albums on this list. So I'm going to talk about them. Like I said, this isn't like these are my favorite albums from my favorite artists or bands or whatever. These are just albums that I think are top quality, musical content wise, not because of the artist that put them out. So to me, these are all albums that don't have any skippables, like any songs that I would say, those are my skip tracks, or, you know, I can listen to this album front to back and enjoy every single kind of song. This is an album that has musical quality or lyrical qualities that pique my interest. So I'm going to go through the list. This is in no particular order. This is just how I came up with the list as I was making the list. And I'll talk about them, talk about my favorite songs on there, why I like the albums, what songs I like and why. And yeah. So the first album that I wrote down on this list is Red by Taylor Swift. This is the album that really got me into Taylor Swift, so I felt obligated to put that on my list. So let me talk about how I discovered this song or this album, because it's kind of a funny story if you ask me. So right when this album came out, it was a period of time where every day my mom and I would make time to sit down and watch the Ellen DeGeneres show. We would always have it recorded on DVR or whatever. So we would always make time to sit down and watch it. So we were watching it one day, and a commercial came on, and it was for Red. And I will never forget it. She was jumping around in a in the long red dress, and it was a white background, and she was splattering red, or she had a red ribbon or something. I can't remember, but I just remember she was holding something red, and in the background was the song Red. And I remember hearing the lyrics: losing him was blue like I ever known, missing him was dark gray all alone, so and so on and so forth. And I was 11 or 12 at the time, and I just remember hearing that line and thinking, whoa, she's comparing these emotions to these colors. That is so... In my head, I was like, that is so genius. Now, obviously, it was like to me, it was the first time probably in my whole life that I really understood, what the singer is saying in a song. I always listened to music ever since I can remember, and I always could, I understood what they were saying verbatim, but, you could have played any song for me that I knew, but I wouldn't know what they were talking about. I knew what they were saying, but I didn't know what they were talking about, and it was the first time. It really was honestly a pivotal moment for me and in my music taste, and just in general, honestly, that I finally realized that music was supposed to convey a message, and that Taylor Swift was conveying this message of losing him was blue, missing him was dark gray, loving him was red, all these, feelings, and comparing them to colors and whatever. And it was the first time that I really understood that music was supposed to tell a story, and it was really impactful, obviously. So I became a huge Taylor Swift fan thereafter, and here we are now. So it's definitely still one of my... I have one other Taylor album on this list, and when I get to it, I'll kind of explain that a little bit more. But I would say that this is probably still my number one Taylor Swift album. And honestly, I think that every song on the album deserves to be on the album, because a lot of Taylor Swift fans specifically will say that it didn't win Album of the Year at the Grammys that year because of songs like Stay, Stay, Stay or 22. There's a couple songs that are kind of just lighthearted and fluffy, and the rest of the album, and most of the album, is more quote-unquote heavy hitters. I think that the way that she did the track listing on this album is perfect. I think it's perfect. I can't say anything more about it. It's just, there's a certain, it's just to me, when I'm listening to this album from top to bottom, there's nothing, as every song goes into the next one, it doesn't feel like there's a hiccup. It doesn't feel like, oh, this feels weird, this is a weird transition. It just every time the next song plays, it transitions well. Maybe it's because I've listened to it. Maybe it's because I've listened to it for so long, so much. But yeah, I just feel like it's perfect. So, anyways, I had to get a drink, sorry. So, let's see. What are some of my favorite tracks on this album? And I'm just gonna throw it out there. I definitely am an all-time low, All Too Well fan. I think I think it's a great song. I think it is beautiful. There's your ASMR. Today I'm drinking black and blueberry Sobe. Since last week I talked about my finding Sobeys. Anyways, I do love All Too Well. I think it is a fabulous song. But I do not think it is her number one song of all time, especially now that she's put out more music since Red. I don't think it's her best song. I don't think it is her number one song. It is a fantastic song, but I don't think it tops other songs personally. I think Swifties have kind of overrated All Too Well. Not to say that it is, again, not to say that it's not good. I'm just saying I think it's become a little overrated. Anyways, there's your hot take. Here are some of my favorite songs personally. Obviously, State of Grace, perfect album opener. The only time she's topped this, or top State of Grace as far as album openers go, is Ready For It on Reputation. If that wasn't the case, that would be the best album opener, is State of Grace. But Ready For It is better as far as an album opener goes. Anyways, what are some of my other favorites? I Almost Do. That's probably my favorite song on the album. This is the song that inspired me to learn to play guitar, fun fact. And I don't know, something about it is just so, I don't know. I just really love that song. I think the guitar is what really does it for me. I think my favorite lyrics on this song, probably in the bridge. In my dreams, you're touching my face and asking me if I want to try again with you, and I almost do. That's probably my favorite lyric on that song. Let's see, what are some of my other favorites? I honestly love Stay, Stay, Stay. I know that's another hot take. I'm too close to the mic, aren't I? Anyways, I know Stay, Stay, Stay is a unpopular one, but I love it. I think it's adorable. Sorry, my throat is so dry. Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. I used to not love this song, but recently, within the past few years, I've really started to appreciate this song. I think it's gorgeous. What are some of my favorite lyrics on that one? Let's see here. Trying to think. I think, again, I will always be a huge stan of her bridges. This probably is one of my favorites. Distance, Timing, Breakdown, Fighting, Silence, The Train runs off its tracks. Kiss Me, Try to Fix It. Could you just try to listen? Oh, that part's my favorite for sure. Everything Has Changed, of course, it's gotta be one of my favorites. That is the song that made me fall in love with Ed Sheeran. And yeah, it is a great song, and they wrote it on her trampoline, fun fact. It's also such an underrated one, and the music video is so precious. Anyways, yeah. The one thing I did not like about Everything Has Changed is, so Ed was on her Red tour. He opened, and then they played Everything Has Changed. So in the recorded version, he only sings like half of the second verse. I did not appreciate that, but when they did it live, he would sing the whole second verse, and I like it that way better personally. Begin Again. I love Begin Again. The line where she says, you talk about all the movies that your family watches at every single Christmas, and I can talk about that for the first time. What's past is past. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. That is so good. Just like the simplicity of the moment. But I love when she does that. Just like picks out little things and notices them. You know what I mean? Like, as someone who tries to write songs, that's obviously Taylor being a huge musical inspiration for me. I always try to do that. Like, I always try to think of things that are like minuscule in life, but make them monumental in a song, or like just in my head, you know, like if something happens in my day, I'm like, that, you know, some people might not even think twice about. That's like, oh, that's an important moment in my day today, you know? I just try to think that way, probably because of Taylor. What are some other ones I want to mention? Let's see. I already mentioned the title track, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm confident in that analysis. What's the next one on my list here? Oh, Hopeless Fountain Kingdom by Halsey. So, the biggest part of the reason why this is my favorite album is because it got me through my first breakup. But, oh my god, it did. And it was like, this is exactly what I'm going through in this quote, I'll say quote unquote relationship. It was not a real relationship. I was naive. But, yeah, it just was like, so I really started becoming a fan of Halsey right when she dropped her first album, Badlands. And when she was promoting Hopeless Fountain Kingdom, I wasn't planning on listening to it. I was like, meh, I don't think she can top Badlands. I was like, that's a great album. Oh, my cat is gonna knock over my TV. Oh boy, he is gonna get it. Sorry. But yeah, when she was promoting this album, I was like, I don't think she could top Badlands. It is a great album. I just don't think she can top it. And so then I did not listen to this album for a while, and then I decided to, around the time that I was going through this breakup, probably, or a little bit before this breakup happened. And yeah, it was a little bit before. And I was really surprised on just how much it differed from Badlands, but yet it was still so like, okay, this is obviously a Halsey album in comparison to like Badlands or the EPs that she dropped before. It was like, this is very much a Halsey album, but it's so different, but in its own way, and it tells a concise story, and that's what I love about it. It's so good. And so yeah, it got me through that breakup. So anytime I hear any of these songs, it takes me back, and I'm just like, man, teenagehood. So anyways, I don't even know which songs I'm gonna pick out of here. Let's see. 100 Letters for sure. I love that song. Oh, and that's such a, like, just a, if you listen to the lyrics of this song, it's like it gets you in your feels, but it's one of those songs that it's just like it's a fun song to just have a little jam session to and just rock out, or not rock out, but like dance around to. Now or Never, that's another one that I really loved. Sorry, and another one that I enjoyed a lot and still do enjoy a lot. I don't listen to that song as much anymore. Sorry, I feel like this would be a great duet. The song Sorry. Walls Could Talk, dude. That's such a good song. Anyways, the only thing I don't really love about this album is the two singles, Bad at Love, and that's probably just because it was so overplayed. And Strangers, that wasn't as big of a single as Bad at Love, and I do love that song actually. Strangers, I do really like this song, but it's not my absolute favorite on this album. I used to really love the song Hopeless, the last track on this album, but I listened to it so much when this album came out that I don't really enjoy it as much, but I don't know. I did not, like I said, I did not think at first that she could top Badlands, but this album is just it's so different, but yet it's like I said, it's telling a story. I feel like I don't really have much more to say on it than it's just really freaking good. And if you haven't listened to it before or haven't listened to it in a while, go back and listen to it. There's just track after track. It's like, oh yeah, this is a good song. This is a banger. This is fun. And I like that she does the prologues and interludes in her albums now. I think that's cool, personally. And I love when, and I'll talk about this some more today with some more albums, but like, so the interlude is called Good Morning, MOURNING, morning. So it's that's the interlude, and then the song after that is called Lie. And I love the way that those two songs transition into one into the other. It's one of my favorite things about listening to albums is when a song transitions so well into the next song. I mean, and it's like something you don't appreciate if you say have one song on a playlist or something until you listen to that whole album and you're like, oh, that's the song. What? I just think that's so fun. That's a production value that is less appreciated than it should be. Anyways, next song or next album. Why do I keep saying song? This is gonna be a hot take, I feel like, but American Beauty, American Psycho. It took me a long time to accept, I guess, the fact that this was one of my favorite Fall Out Boy albums, because it's pretty radio friendly. I mean, Centuries, obviously, and Uma Thurman, Irresistible for a little while, but and of course Immortals. So but I really enjoy this album. Like American Beauty, American Psycho, the title track, such a good song. And it's the jabs in that song Yeah, we were pity sex, nothing more, nothing less. Ooh, that hits so hard. That is so good. The kids aren't all right, of course. An amazing song. The vocals in that song. Ooh, you know what has the best vocals? Is freaking Favorite Record. That's probably one of my top 5. That's definitely my top 5 favorite Fall Out Boy songs. One of. Oh, Twin Skeletons. Twin Skeletons is so underrated within Fall Out Boy fans. It's, to me, and I think this is kind of known, but maybe not. I think it is definitely about their break. What is that called? I can't think of the word. But their break, I think this is what this song is about. And that's, it's so good. And this album also has some really great transitions. But yeah. Plus by Ed Sheeran. That's my next album on my list here. And so this album, before I heard Everything Has Changed, I heard Lego House, and I thought that was the stupidest song on the radio, man. Oh, I was like, what the heck is this guy talking about? Fucking Lego houses? What? I'm like, what? This is so... And then I heard Everything Has Changed, and I was like, oh, this is that guy? He's pretty good. So then I went and listened to A-Team, and I was like, oh, dang. So then I went back and I listened to Lego House with fresh eyes and my newfound knowledge about how lyricism works. And then I was like, I appreciated it more. And yeah. Long story short, became a huge fan of Ed Sheeran after that. After I learned that, again, musicians tell stories in their songs. It's not just them talking at you. My favorite song on this album is definitely You and I. So underrated. So good. The thing I love the most about this album, besides the fact that this is the last album that he really swears on, but just that it's a good mixture of him singing and him rapping. Because I feel like with like Multiply, he did more singing, and then he did his collaborations album, and it's a lot more rapping, and I like him doing both, which is why I like this album the best, because it's a nice mixture of both. And yeah, another one of my favorites is Wake Me Up. Again, just writing about the simplicity of things in a relationship or whatever is just so cool to me, I guess. It's enjoyable to me just listening to like people saying, again, like taking the simplicity out of life and making it something more. It's a really nice, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm trying to get through this a little bit quicker than I had been before, sorry. Next album on my list would be Evermore. Okay, so this is the other album, other Taylor Swift album, like I mentioned before. And I think this is probably her best album since Red. There are, again, no skips like any of these albums. No skips on this album. And lyrically, it is just so genius. Like, I love a good metaphor. The thing I love most about just music and lyrics is when you're just, I like when they, straight up tell you what they're trying to say, but I like when things are like, here, figure out what I mean by this. That's why I like Red so much. That's why I like Evermore so much. Is just like, yeah, I think it is I enjoy music when it's like, oh, what do they mean like by that? Or, oh, that's an interesting choice of words. And obviously Folklore and Evermore, but I prefer Evermore personally. But both of those albums really are like, Taylor pulled out a dictionary and was just like, what does this word mean? So I mean, my vocabulary expanded quite a bit this year. But, so a couple of my favorite songs on Evermore, would have to be the title track. I do love the title track for sure. Champagne Problems, I think Champagne Problems is better than All Too Well. I think it should have been the track 5, although Tolerate It is a great fucking track 5. But I think Champagne Problems should have been the track 5, and I think if it had, it would have been the best track 5 in Taylor Swift discography. No Body, No Crime, of course. I think that is such a good song if you just need something to just have a good time. It's just a fun song, and it is such a good song. Cowboy Like Me. I think for a long time, fans were not appreciating this song, mostly because of the opening line. And the tennis court was covered up by some tent-like thing. I think people were not appreciating that it was from a character's perspective, and it was just like, I was like, oh, okay, this is different. When I first heard that song, I was just like, all right, different. I like it. And then, after you listen to it and kind of understand it, it's obviously about like a not so much a Bonnie and Clyde kind of couple, but just a couple who were like swindlers. So good. Ivy, I did not enjoy at first, but I have definitely come to appreciate Ivy a lot more. And then Right Where You Left Me is probably one of my favorites of all time. It's so just, I feel like that last chorus where she says, you probably got a wife and kids or Christmas or whatever, like, but if you ever change your mind, I'm right where you left me type thing. Like, I think everyone has gone through kind of a similar point and in their life, and I think that's just really good. Really, really good. Love that. Folie à Deux by Fall Out Boy. Again, I think this is everyone's favorite Fall Out Boy album. I feel like for a little while there, we were all saying it was our favorite album, maybe because we felt bad that it wasn't well received in 2009, and so therefore that's why they went on hiatus, which is the word I couldn't come up with a few minutes ago. And then, so we all were like, oh, we love, Folie à Deux is my favorite album, but, I don't know. But I do have 2 Folie à Deux tattoos. I've got Change Will Come from Coffees for Closers, and I've got Detox on one ankle and Retox on the other ankle. from Disloyal Order of Water Buffaloes. So, I mean, obviously this is one of those albums that you just turn on when you're just like, you really need a pick-me-up, for me at least. Again, transitions, production-wise, freaking the only way to listen to any Folie à Deux song is to listen to it from cover to cover, because just listening to the transitions on this album is so, I don't know why, I enjoy it so much, but it's just like so much better to listen to it that way. What's next? Oh, yeah, this is a little bit of a switcheroo. Digital Drug Lord by Black Bear. This is an artist that I don't really bring up. This is one of those artists that if someone were to ask me, oh, what kind of music do you listen to? Sorry, my cat just jumped in the funniest way. Oh, that was great. But anyways, if people ask me like what kind of music I listen to, Black Bear is one of those artists that I don't normally come up with, just because it's so kind of such a little bit of a left turn in my music taste that I kind of forget what I like to listen to, and that's one of them things. But yeah, I think it is, again, no skips album. What are some of my favorites? Oh, Hell Is Where I Dreamt of You and Woke Up Alone. Dude. I think the only song I don't really enjoy on this album is the song Juicy Sweatsuits. Don't really enjoy that one, but I still, if I'm listening to this album, I don't normally skip it. Chateau, that's such a bop, such a fun one to listen to. Of course, Do Re Mi is like one of the few singles that just doesn't get old. What I'm trying to think. If I could, I Would Feel Nothing. I love that one too. I'm talking too much. Anyways, two more. Here we go. After Laughter by Paramore. This is a unpopular opinion as well amongst Paramore fans, which I recently found out people don't like Paramore. Which obviously, if you don't like their music, that's you're entitled to your opinion. But I was trying to figure out, there was like a specific reason, like Hayley Williams did something or said, I don't know. I recently found out that people had beef with Paramore that didn't have anything to do with music, supposedly. I don't know. I did not know that they were problematic, but I do love this album, and I know that is an unpopular opinion again amongst Paramore fans, because it is it doesn't sound like a Paramore album. And I saw a tweet not too long ago that was, if After Laughter by Paramore and Mania by Fall Out Boy were released by, anyone else, or if you didn't know the rest of their discography, they would be considered fantastic albums. But because those two albums are so different from the rest of those bands' discographies, they're like, they sound like, quote, sellout albums, essentially. And I love both of those albums, actually. But After Laughter is one of those that I really, again, just love listening to in its entirety. I saw Paramore when they were touring for this album, so that has a lot to do with it. 26, Pool, Idol Worship. I feel like Idol Worship is one of those songs that, you you may not relate to on the scale that they're talking about in this song, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to this in their day-to-day lives. Like if you're feeling like overwhelmed, especially if you're like feel like everyone's leaning on you in the moment, you kind of feel that way. And I feel that way a lot, so I definitely love that, like that song. Pool, something about that one that just, I feel like when they released this, Haley and her husband had not yet announced their divorce, right? And then so anyone who kind of listened to this that was knew about Paramore, about Haley Williams or whatever, kind of was taking this as a surface level, and then they announced their divorce and everything revolving around that. And then you kind of take things like Pool, where the line is, let me pull it up because it's such a good line. Oh, yeah. You are the wave I could never tame. If I survive, I'll dive back in. Like, you did this to me, and I could never do anything about it, but if I can forgive you, I'll do it right over again. And I don't know about you, but I can relate to that. It's kind of a problem, but whatever. 26 is in that similar fashion of just, we were kind of taking this all at surface level, and then we hear this, that news comes out, and you're just like, oh, so this is like deeper than we realized. And I really want to get a tattoo of this song. Somehow. They say that dreaming is free, but I wouldn't care what it cost me. Alright, final one. Soul Punk by Patrick Stump. This album is going to be 10 years old this year, which is crazy. This is it. Out of all the God, why do I keep wanting to say songs? Out of all the albums I talk about today, this has the best transitions. It also has Run Dry, which is, there's not a bad, there's not a bad song on any of these albums, but literally, I can't even pick out like a handful, except for like This City. That is like meh, but I can't every song, Explode, Dance Miserable, Spotlight, The Iron Lie, Greed, Everybody Wants, like all these songs are just like, yes. And I don't remember at what point Patrick said in an interview, probably early on, Fall Out Boy, but they were talking about how Pete writes the lyrics, and then Pete will send Patrick lyrics or thoughts or whatever, and then Patrick will kind of string them all together and put a production behind them. And basically, I remember in this interview, Patrick said, I don't really feel like I have anything to say that's all that important or that people need to hear or something like that. And then you go to Soul Punk, and you're just like, dude, you're not giving yourself enough credit. Like, obviously, he wrote and recorded and produced this album all himself. So that alone is just like, obviously this man is so fucking talented. But then he's got these lyrics that he's hiding, that nobody really knew about until this album came out, and you're just like, okay, so you can just do it all, is what you're saying, basically. You have no, like, Is there something you can't do here, sir? Like, there's not a bad song, and I am so mad that Spotify does not have Saturday Night again on anymore. They used to a few years ago. They had Saturday Night again on Spotify, and then they took it off. So mad. That is such a great song. If you've never listened to that, or you have to listen to that one. So yeah, those are my favorite albums, yo. Talked for a while. I was kind of afraid that I made this list up, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk about this for very long. But I went later than anticipated, which works. But I finished my Sobe, so it's time for me to go. I realized after I posted, I was going to talk about this at the top, but, so last week when I posted my last week's episode, I went to work, and I was like, I probably should listen to my podcast, on headphones, because like when I'm editing it or when I listen back to it, I just play it off of my speakers, on my computer. So I was like, I probably should listen to the headphone quality on this. So I did. I listened to both episodes, and the headphone quality was fine, but then I realized, like, the first episode I sound so stiff and like so nervous, and the second episode I feel I sound a lot more comfortable. So hopefully that is portrayed, I guess, translated to you guys who are listening and not in my head. Hopefully I don't sound so stiff anymore, but I definitely sounded nervous on the first episode, so hopefully I don't sound that way anymore. But I don't know. Definitely was weird to listen to, but I definitely sounded more comfortable on the most recent episode. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that interesting little tidbit with you. But we're coming up on an hour, which is surprising, but whatever. I also realized last week that I have been saying the wrong Twitter handle. So you can find the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as The Biased Critic. But then on Twitter, it's at Critic Biased. Apparently the Biased Critic was already taken. So there's that. That's the episode. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you next Sunday.